Herzlich willkommen zu der Podcast-Episode heute mit unserem Special Guest. Und sie ist ein Mensch mit einem der größten Herzen, die ich je erlebt habe, und einer der Menschen, wo ich der Lieblingsmenschen auf diesem Erdball, die herumwandeln und neben denen ich Zeit verbringen konnte. Und ihr Name ist Dr. Divina Donnelly und sie ist eine Ärztin und sie arbeitet in einem Krankenhaus in Irland, aber zugleich ist sie auch internationale Lehrerin, Life Activation praktizierende Heilerin und Guide in der Modern Mystery School, der Schule für fortgeschrittenes spirituelles Training in der Linie von König Salomon. Und wir sprechen heute über das Thema Beziehung und wollen praktische Tipps geben, wie wir Beziehung meistern können, verbessern können und wie Metaphysik auch darin auch eine Rolle spielt. Ich werde jetzt auf Englisch switchen, denn Divina Dr. Anne kommt aus Irland und wir sprechen Englisch. Let's go. Hello and welcome now into English. My name is Marian Bano and I'm hosting this podcast today with our special guest. She is one of my favorite human beings, I have to say, walking on this earth, and I had to spend time next to her. And she has one of the biggest hearts I have ever experienced. She is a medical doctor and also an international teacher, guide, and healer and life activation practitioner with the Modern Mystery School in the lineage of King Solomon. And we will speak today about relationships, and we want to give you very practical tips, but also bring a bit of metaphysics inside. And we hope you're enjoying this podcast today. I say welcome, Divina Dr. Anne Donnelly.
Thank you so much, Marian. I love hearing you speak in German. I could listen to you all day, Marian. It's so beautiful. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. I'm delighted to be here.
It's beautiful. Divina Dr. Anne, I know you from the background from the Modern Mystery School, but also now you are working in a hospital in medicine. So you are a medical doctor, and you have also written a book which is called Once Upon a Tinder, which is an Amazon bestseller, and it's also about relationships. And we want today dive more into this topic. And I have wondered through my life sometimes. I had been in several relationships, and I want to speak more about romantic relationships today. At the beginning, it was always so fluffy, and there was so much passion. It was so easy flowing. And at one point, sometimes after a few months, years, or it came to challenges, and I was like, oh my goodness, now it's getting hard. And is that a natural thing we as human beings experience?
Oh, Marian, thank you for asking this question, because I'm sure a lot of people can relate to it, and I can relate to it as well. And the thing is about relationships is that they are something that is constantly growing and changing, because I know I'm constantly growing and changing. And I know that anyone that I'm with is constantly growing and changing. And so you're going to have that dynamic within. And yes, you're right. I mean, it's so easy at the beginning of any relationship, because you have the hormones to support you, you have the infatuation to support you, you have this putting the other person on this pedestal, and oh my goodness, they are the best person that has ever existed. And then suddenly we realize that each one of us has also those wonderful imperfections that make us unique as well. And when those imperfections begin to reveal themselves, initially we're prepared to overlook them. As a matter of fact, there is a very unique hormonal basis to that makes us overlook things, especially in the beginning, or just say, oh, that's not important. But as time goes on and we become more comfortable with each other, we're less on our guard, and we begin to reveal more of ourselves, it's then that, our challenges generally arise. And it's at that stage that we decide, well, is this something I really want to commit to? And commitment, it takes with it a degree of responsibility that we need to bring to the relationship as well. Is this something I want to grow in? Because as human beings, we know that we never, ever stay still. We're constantly changing. And because that is the case, then there is an opportunity that we can do that within relationship if we're willing and able to take the relationship to a level where we're willing to be vulnerable and to share those parts of ourselves that need work, as well as those parts of ourselves that are more, perhaps more pleasing to ourselves and to our loved ones. So it's the whole package. It's the whole package. And of course, when that comes around, we have to be able to communicate about those things. And so we need to, number one, know, are we prepared to commit to each other?
Yes, maybe let's really put this into 3 major points, which you might address. I think that's very, very helpful. So
Yes.
You said communication, right, is number one?
Yes, it is. And because communication is so fundamental, now communication to me might work very differently to communication to you. But one of the things that is very important is if there is something that is particularly important to me, I am going to want to make sure that you know about it if I'm in a relationship with you.
Yes.
And we have to understand that this is a two-way process. Communication involves an exchange of ideas. And so when I am bringing an idea to you, then I want to open the communication with finding out where you're at with that. Now, that can be really, really difficult because it might be something that I've pent up for a long time and I really want to get off my chest and I just want to lay it all on the plate and, and make sure that you know how I feel about this.
Yes. Yes.
However, if one can, even just for one moment, hold all that back. Okay, now that can be hard. But hold that back and ask an open question of your loved one. And what I mean by an open question is something where you're exploring where they're at with this. Now, it could be something like, who does the washing on a Tuesday night? I don't know. I'm plucking that from the top of my head. And I'm talking about something that's practical every day. And maybe I've been doing it every Tuesday night because we've fallen into that. And maybe it doesn't suit me to do it every Tuesday night. Maybe I'd like you to do it once in a while. So the best open question that I could ask, perhaps is something like, what do you think about, this washing thing that we've been, this washing thing we're doing? What do you think about it? I mean, the other person might be totally caught off their guard. It might not have even been on their radar. So it's really important to establish how they think about it first and then zip it. Don't say a word because you really, really want to hear what it is they're saying. And listen. That is another keystone. So you want to, when we're communicating, we need to listen. And listen is a very interesting word because it involves keeping this shut. Well, maybe, really throwing away the key on this for a little while because we want to hear what's being said and then to hear not only how the person is talking about it, but their body language about it. Do they really want to talk about this right now? Is this a good time? Have I brought it up at a bad time? Have I intentionally or maybe subconsciously brought it up at a bad time? Because it suits me and it doesn't suit the other person. We always want to monitor. what works for us in communication and what doesn't. Now, it could be something simple to the other person, it's something big to me. And yet, when I listen to the other person, they might give me the solution in their answer without me having to make a big thing of it. This is the incredible art of communication.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
Am I making
totally
sense,
relate.
Marion? Am I making sense?
Sure, I can totally relate to that. It's an art, and it's truly magic if, from my perspective, because there's a dynamic in communications, and I can relate to this. With humans, we sometimes we just put it all on the plate, what we think, what are our opinions, and so on, and then it's out there, and then the other person has to deal with that, or we have expectations how the other person should react, and so on, and then they're not meeting my expectations, and then the whole drama starts. But just putting a question out, it brings true magic, and so much, it opens something up. True, this is what I'm getting from it.
I love this, Marion, because opening something up, it's like we can create adventures for ourselves inside relationships. And this is what keeps the magic strong. Because if we open up something for discussion and it becomes an opening to another world of, yes, how each of us feels about something, yes, but also how each of us sees something, because it might be very, very different. And it doesn't have to be a barrier. Everything doesn't have to be a barrier. We don't have to hold grudges. We don't have to hold on to things so tight the way that we think things ought to be, because that is the magic of relationships. It helps us to see things through another person's eyes.
Truly.
And you know, this is incredible, because how my eyes see it doesn't always have to be the right way. It can be, yes, a way that is right for me. But if the other person has a different perspective, a different angle, it helps me to soften and to see it from another human being's perspective. And that inside us creates compassion. It creates a flow of energy, of love, of light, and helping us to see things maybe a little bit more, less rigid and more softer.
Divina, and when we are in relationships, sometimes, in our lives, it might be an exploration, and to, just to explore different people, different behaviors, to see who's the right one. Maybe this one is fitting, or maybe this one is fitting better, and to get different experiences. But to really stay together and make a bond, and I think there's another layer of magic which we can dive into. What would you say? What does it need to get to this?
That's a wonderful question, Marion. Actually, first of all, we have to, each of us, be at a time in our lives where that is right for us. For someone, one person, they might be exploring things differently. Maybe they want to see who's a right fit. Maybe they're at a time in their lives where it is not quite right for them. But when you both decide that you want to make this work longer term, that's a vulnerable place to be. And with that vulnerability comes a need to tend to the relationship differently. And we could imagine it like a beautiful garden that has many flowers and many different plants, and is going to need a little weeding, it's going to need watering, it's going to need fertilizing. And to talk about that as a couple, what is it, that helps you to feel loved? What is it little notes in the morning? Is it, your breakfast in bed? Is it an evening out? Is it sharing a hobby together? What is it? And it is about time together. And it isn't always necessarily about the quantity of time, but the quality of time that we have together. And we know today in our crazy world, there are so many distractions. There's our phone, there's the internet, there's the media, there's so much. But if I'm prepared to shut all of that out and create space for my loved one, that I want it to be really quality, and we decide together what that is that we want to do with that, then honestly, that is really beautiful. That is bringing something quality and beautiful to each other. And it has to be mutual in the sense that sometimes we have to negotiate. Maybe what I enjoy more a little than you, we do one week. What you enjoy more than me, then we do the other week. Or maybe we find something that we enjoy ultimately together. That again requires communication. It requires a little bit of devotion. But if we were to talk about three main ingredients for a longer term relationship, we are talking about number one, commitment, whatever way that looks for you, commitment. Number two, we do need passion in the relationship. We want to keep that fire going. And what works for you as a couple will be very important to figure that out. And you also want to have this continual sense of growth. And what that means is that as individuals, you're continuing to grow and to experience life, but that there is something that you create together that is common to each of you, that is a space that no one else influences, that is your mutual space. That is where the magic happens. And it usually happens where you bring opposing forces together. Classically, we see it in male-female relationships because they are the classic opposing forces in our universe. However, if you have a male-male relationship, if you have a female-female relationship, usually one partner will bring more masculine qualities to that relationship and the other will bring more feminine qualities to that relationship. And it is that tension that we create together that helps us to create something completely unique together. So please don't, worry if you do have moments of tension. It's how you come through that creates something incredible out the other side. And it's that's unique to you as a couple.
Truly, what I'm getting from it is it needs communication and to listen, to create a space also for my loved one or the partner I'm with, which is a huge key, and also to have a space where nobody else can enter, like a private space, which is so it's kind of sacred.
Yes.
And commitment, and commitment, I think it might be a huge key and huge part of it, because to commit to something is, in my way of thinking, also I want to make it. I want to see what's behind the next, let me say the next wall. Maybe I cannot see what's behind the wall, but I want to make it, like, to climb over it together with my partner, and let's figure out what's behind this next stage, and to get and explore deeper parts and magic of our relationships. And this needs also strong will and desire. And that's I think then really magic can happen.
I agree. And that's where the tools of the mystery school tend to come in, Marianne. I have found down through the years that I have changed and grown exponentially as a human being in the way that I see life, in the way that in the way that I express my passion, my compassion, and my love. And I also, that actually made me want to write the book that I wrote, because I wanted more more loving relationships. I do I I know that my old hurts I was able to transmute hugely through the tools that I found in the mystery school. And those tools helped me to move through my issues a lot quicker. So it meant then when it came to relationships, I was able to stand in my own power and experience each relationship in a really exciting, exploratory, adventurous way, and not to be afraid of what is coming next. Because it's important to begin to live in the moment of what the relationship is bringing up and what that combination of two people are bringing to it, and not to be afraid to communicate what's true for me, and not to be afraid to hear what is true for the other person, and then to work at that. And I found that the tools made that so much more gentle for me. I find my energy tends to be gentle. And so the tools really helped me to continue to flow my energy gently, but in a way, but that was what was right for me. You know, someone else's energy might be more like masculine or forthright, or and the tools will equally work for you in helping you to understand yourself better and to explore the things that you want to express in your life, ideally. And that doesn't make the world a scary place. As a matter of fact, it makes the world a more adventurous and fun place. And we can start to live from a space of love, compassion, and adventure, rather than necessarily always feeling that an obstacle is oh my gosh, everything is going south. It's not necessarily, it can be seen as this is an opportunity.
Yes.
We can turn it around.
Yes. And this also makes you a huge creator of your life, and which is a huge thing. And Divina and Dr. Anne, I thank you so much for these insights. And this was lovely talking with you now and receiving insights about relationships, and having practical tips, and also a little metaphysical understanding of it. And whoever wants to explore more, I just would say we can recommend your book, which is a really, really also adventurous thing. It's called Once Upon a Tinder. And also, who wants to dive deeper into the journey of thyself, I would recommend. There are many practitioners we have with the Modern Mystery School around the globe, and I am here in Germany. Divina Anne is in Ireland. We have a lot of people in the United Kingdom and all over the world who offer life activation, which brings you much more, light, awareness of thyself, and much more things. And for that, I say already thank you to you, Divina Anne. And is there a last sparkle you want to drop here?
First of all, I want to thank you, Marion, because actually this topic about relationships is so important. As a matter of fact, we have relationships with everything in life, everything. And how we relate, if there's something we want to change in the outside world or in our relationship, in the partner, we have to look at ourselves first. Yeah. And that is where the path is so unique. It helps you to explore yourself. It is based on the premise that we know ourselves. And, from there, there's so much to explore as you get to know yourself better through the path of healing and initiation within the Modern Mystery School. So please, yes, check it out. And I know, Marion, you are there in Germany, so people are so lucky to have you. Please connect with Marion and just check out the website and see if there's something there that interests you. And thank you so much for this opportunity, Marion. I really appreciate it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Divina. Lovely. Bye-bye.
Bye.